Really, today I will give you two examples about modern poetry or modernist poetry, or to some extent beginnings of modernist poetry. And as a change from all this, we have, as you can see, we have started because the course is called survey, so the samples that we have covered so far, novels, short stories, out of at the beginning we have some kind of poetry by Whitman. The example I gave you, Walt Whitman, which was, I think, a very good example of poetry. And I will conclude here also with that to some extent. Now, the examples I have is Edwin Arlington Robinson, originally is Edward or Edwin, doesn't matter, but people, or he has two maybe different versions of his name. I don't care. Just say Robinson. He is sort of a really strong example of somebody who did not really, if you like, who did not follow the tradition, if you like, in writing poetry. So his main, I say here, he's mainly concerned really with what's called narrative poetry. Well, you can say, well, poetry, all poetry give, if you like, all poetry, if you like, really, gives stories and narrates stories, and not just because in all writings there is a story. There's something you have to say. So here I'm saying, or the little introduction that I say here is well remembered for his mainly narrative poems. He was devoted to his art and led solitary life. And as you can see here, his themes were mostly about personal failure, artistic struggle, materialism, inevitability of change, and so on, So here there's a little bit of this tiny introduction, but you can see, if you want to know more about him, you can find a lot of references online. You can search and you can find a lot of stuff written on him. So here we have, as you can see, I gave you two examples, and they are a little bit similar. One called Richard Corey, and here I gave you really a nice summary of it. And you can see, of course, the idea that I gave you here. Again, I think it's very clear. You can read it on your own, and you can understand it clearly. There's no difficult stuff about it. Now, the idea again really is interesting to see here about the ambiguity of the poet's intentions. What is he talking about here? About who this man really is, Richard Corey. And the story, or his story, you can see, is quite, simple, but still, is not clear what's wrong with him. Why did he, at the end of the day, why did he kill himself? I give this poem also to my students in the other course, which is again to talk about as an example of the narrative poetry. Here, this poem is narrating a little narrative about a man called Richard Corey. Whenever Richard Corey went downtown, we people on the pavement looked at him. He was a gentleman from soul to crown, clean, favored, and imperially slim. Well, you can see nice narrative here, nice poetry, really, the rhyme here. town, crown, slim, him. You know, there's a lovely rhyme here, really. So, but you can see, you know, this story about him, Richard Corey. And he was always quietly arrayed, and he was always human when he talked, but still he fluttered pulses when he said, "Good morning," and he glittered when he walked. Again, you can see the lovely rhyme. He's still talking about how this man is so nice and the way he is and so on. And he was rich, yes, richer than a king, and admirably schooled in every grace. In fine, we thought that he was everything to us, to make us wish that we were in his place. So on we worked and waited for the light, and went without the meat, and cursed the bread. And Richard Corey, one calm summer night, went home and put a bullet through his head. What? Yeah. What's this? Hello? Why did he kill himself, this man? Yeah. So it's really it's an amazing little poem that you think that there's a story. Well, yeah, there is a story about this man, Richard Corey. Everybody likes him. Everybody envies him. Everybody wishes to be in his place, and so on and so forth. He's a nice, educated, blah, blah, blah. The way he walks, the way he talks, the way he appears, the way, etc., etc. And everybody is looking at him, everybody is admiring him, and and the next day he shot himself dead. La ilaha illallah. Why? Why? I think, and so on we worked. So who's this we? We people on the pavement, he said. We people on the pavement looked at him. We thought that he was everything. We were in his place. Who's we? You know? So here really it's as if to say, you know, what kind of people is they, you know, are these? It looks like being, you know, maybe the whole town's people, everybody admiring him. But he said, we people on the pavement. On the pavement. So it means people are sitting outside their doors maybe, or are they workers in the streets? Or are they slaves in the streets? Or are they normal, you know, passers-by? Or he just said, we on the pavement. And when he said we worked, well, you know, the last paragraph or the last stanza, we worked and waited for the light, and went without the meat, and cursed the bread. What? So that means these people are really workers, and they are really like slaves, and they are really miserable in their life. So they have been working the whole day till night, and then even at night they don't get the food that they should be getting, you know. And let's see, we went without the meat, you know. We were expected to have something nice to eat, but there's nothing, and we cursed the bread. That's too much. Really, that's too much to say. Curse the bread? Nobody curses the bread. Bread can't be cursed. Bread cannot be cursed. And here it means these people are really, really, really in miserable situation. To make them curse the bread, they are absolutely in a horrible situation, so they will be cursing the bread. So that's why, because of their terrible time, their terrible, horrible way of life, they were forced to curse the bread when they are given nothing to eat except maybe dry bread, maybe. And Richard Corey, one calm summer night, went home and put a bullet through his head. Well, maybe this Richard Corey is a master of slaves, maybe. Maybe he's a white man, master colonialist man, who has colonized and, you know, enslaved so many people, and these people are admiring him and so on. But you never know what this man really is suffering from. You really don't know. So people sometimes, again, this is one of the ideas that I say about this poem, is about appearances. Appearances, because sometimes, you know, what is appeared to you is something maybe false. Yeah, because you don't really know the real meanings of people, or the real inside of people, because you could never. What you see outside is sometimes, well, most of the time, misleading. It is misleading. Really, that's why here I'm saying the poem is about appearance versus reality, or appearance can be deceiving. Absolutely. Here I say the poem talks about the story of a man in his own town and how he is seen by his people. The narrator and the narrator's community have spent time and time observing him, idolizing him like an idol, envying him, right? But of course, nobody knows exactly what this man really is. And really here, at the end of the day, the poem, I say, leaves the truth about whatever drives Corey to suicide, unspoken and unknown. But readers, of course, do not need to know the exact reason why he killed himself. Really, there's no big deal about it, right? Really, there's no big deal about it. Why? That's not important. So no matter what happened, of course, to us, I'm saying here, namely, that no matter how well off a person may seem, and no matter how happy a person should be, people cannot easily understand or see reality based on appearances only. The poem is typical here of narrative because the narrator speaks on behalf of the community. We people, because he said, you know, like, and I think we have seen this by many writers, especially there's a great short story. I teach this also to my students in the other courses. The short story, it's called, you know, A Rose for Emily, and the narrator all the time say, we people, we the townspeople. Exactly the same voice, we thought that Emily is this, we thought Emily will do that, and Emily, etc. And the whole thing, the whole narrative is really spoken by the first plural sense, plural voice, we, right? Exactly like here. I think this is an amazing style. I think, I don't know, it's funny, it's used, I noticed here, it's used only by American writers. And here we have this poet and that short story by the American, really amazing William Faulkner, who wrote A Rose for Emily. And Faulkner was a great novelist, really, in so many ways. So here, the idea, I think, is quite interesting for all of us to think about. And here again, say other themes like wealth and versus happiness, again, envy versus admiration, and so on. So here I give you this on your own. Please read that. I think it's very easy to understand. Okay, any question about this short poem? Hello, boys and girls. Are you asleep? Hello?
We are here, Doctor. No question, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so, yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, well, sometimes I worry. I think that you are still asleep. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so, yeah, good. The idea really is, as you can see, it's very, very simple and obvious. Now, the next poem is a bit similar, a bit similar by our friend, the same man, the same poem, by nearly the same story or narrative poem again. Here, I don't, let me see, did I give any conclusion? No, I did not give any conclusions here. Really, it's similar to that one by the man here called Miniver Chivi. Again, really, there is also a narrative story here about Miniver Chivi. Yeah, again, I will read this and I'll try to explain for you. Again, really, it's a funny, amazing, really poem here. Miniver Chivi. Miniver Chivi, child of scorn, grew lean when he assailed the seasons. He wept that he was ever born, and he had reasons. Say, come on, man, what's wrong with you? Why are you angry because you were born? What? Why? You did not want to be born? Grew lean while he assailed the seasons. He wept that he was ever born, and he had reasons. Astaghfirullah. What's the matter? What's the matter with you, man? Why are you angry and crying? Miniver, and here he tells us, Miniver loved the days of old, when swords were bright and steeds were prancing. The vision of warrior bold, the vision of a warrior bold would set him dancing. Miniver sighed for what was not. Miniver sighed for what was not. He dreamed and rested from his labors. He dreamed of Thebes and Camelot and Priam's neighbors. Miniver mourned the ripe renown that made so many a name so fragrant. He mourned romance now on the town and art a vagrant. Miniver loved the Medici, albeit he had never seen one. He would have sinned incessantly, could he have been one. Miniver cursed the commonplace and eyed a khaki suit with loathing. He missed the medieval grace of iron clothing. Miniver scorned the gold he sought, but sore annoyed was he without it. Miniver thought and thought and thought and thought about it. Miniver Chivi, born too late, scratched his head and kept on thinking. Miniver coughed and called it fate and kept on drinking. What? Kept on drinking? Yeah, it's a lovely poem, as you can see. Every stanza starts with Miniver, 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 this Miniver, Miniver, huh? And at the end of the day, we discover that Miniver is actually getting drunk, is drinking. So all his mind is absolutely, come on, man, what's this? Isn't it? Really, if you let me, I want to show you something here, if I can find. There are, here I show you really, let me, maybe if I share this with you a little bit, because really it's a lovely, it's a lovely, here I just Googled the title, Miniverchivi Questions and Answers. Really, it's a lovely idea. You can you know, think about it. Here, of course, there are a lot of questions you can see, as I said, on the internet. But really, I would like, I will leave it for you really to find that yourself. Just you can Google the title, and you can find a lot, really a lot of questions about you know, this this poem. You know, there are loads and loads, of course, of information and material. I don't think I need to worry about it at the moment, but please, you can look at that yourselves, and you can see, if you like, all this clearly done here, of course. You know, even about the poem itself, the form of the poem, the format, the example, the rhyme, the traditional thing. You can find a lot of you know, ideas, I think, there in the poem. Now, as I said, if you like, the ideas and the thing really is, you find many things. I'm not going to worry about that at the moment, but please, if you want to just have a look about what is going on here. Well, here really we have a strange man, absolutely funny, crazy man, looking about all these things, you know, in his really crazy fashion, when he's drunk, and you say, come on, what is this? You know, now, of course, you would be surprised that all this to him then was total mess. Really, the whole thing was really messy. You know, if you like, in so many ways, really, you will find that this is an amazing, I should say, really strange, strange poem here. And that's why, to some extent, we can say this is really weird in a sense. Again, when you read it, you say, what is he talking about here? So as if we have here a drunkard, a man who is already drunk, and he's regretting, as if there's nothing in this world is okay for him. He's, you know, he's thinking about, you know, crazy, all these dreams and dreams and dreams about the past. You know, once he said he wished that he wasn't born, and at the end he said, I was born before my time, or I said born too late. Come on. So you see, so there's really here strange. You still see my screen, correct? Hello?
Yes, doctor.
Yeah. Yeah. So really you can see here again is a very strange poem addressed, spoken by a man who is drunk, who is imagining crazy things, unbelievable things, and you wonder why. You say he's not happy with anything. Is it to do with our situation? Sometimes we feel that you are totally lost. You feel you want to get away from the place, you know, you scorn yourself, you know. So here really you can see this, you know, clearly shown in an amazing fashion. So Miniver is a wild, unbelievable drunkard man who is imagining everything what he's saying is nothing really real. Miniver, we can see, let me read again and I will try to explain. Miniver, chiefy, child of scorn, grew lean while he assailed the seasons, and he wept while he was, that he was ever born, and he had reasons. Well, we think that maybe this man is not happy in his life, and he feels that he wished that he was never born, and he feels miserable and so on and so forth. And you say, well, maybe there's something wrong with this man. Why he is so sad? And now we see as if he wants to go back to the past. In the next stanza, Miniver loved the days of old when swords were bright and steeds were prancing. The vision of a warrior bold would set him dancing. So here you think, oh my God, this man is a great warrior, is a knight. He was a great man, a fighter, a knight, a soldier, a big, good, big, you know, honorable, noble man, you know, wanting to go to the old days when warriors were warriors, you know. We say, oh my God, he wants to go back to all these lovely days. Well, let's see. Miniver sighed for what was not. Again, this is really funny. When you say here, Miniver sighed for what was not, meaning really you always wish, you always dream of what is not there, which means nothing will be happy for you, nothing will be enough for you. You always moan, you always nag, you want more, you are not happy with what you have. You always say, I want, no, that's not what I want. What do you want? No, not this one. What do you want? And you say, oh, no, something else. What is it? You have no idea. Exactly, that's what was not. You know, as we say in Arabic, do you say this saying here in Oman? لا بيعجبه عجب العجب ولا الصيام في رجب. Do you say this in Oman? Sorry?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we see, doctor.
Yeah. لا عجب العجب ولا الصيام في رجب. What do you want then? This is the man. That's the man. Miniver sighed. Oh, that's, oh my, yeah. So always hoping for what is not, hoping for what was not, and dreamed and rested from his labors, you know, as if he's dreaming and as if he's working all the time. His work, he dreamed of Thebes. My God, going back to Thebes, to Oedipus' time, going back to Thebes and to Camelot, to, you know, Camelot, to Lady of Shalott, and to Ulysses and all those days with the, you know, King Arthur and his men, to Camelot and Priam and Homer, Priam's neighbors, you know, of course, in the Iliad by Homer, Priam, one of the main characters in that novel, or that big poem, actually. Minerva mourned the ripe renown that made so many a name so fragrant. Again, now he's saying, you know, he's always sad for those really famous people. Mourned. Mourned? Why? Are they dead? Yeah. That made so many a name so fragrant. He mourned romance, now on the town, and art a fragrance. So he's as if he's mourning everything, as if to say everything to him is dead. Now there's nothing. Minerva loved the Medici, albeit he had never seen one. You know, again, those great soldiers and those old time. He would have sinned incessantly, could he have been one. Again, really, in Medici, if I, let me check this, because in mythology, let me check this, please, because really here is quite interesting to see that. Let me see, what's that? Yeah. Well, you know, it's in mythology, as they say. Really, here it says it's you know, I googled the it's to do with a lot of mythological Italian Roman references to indicate a big Italian family. Really, I don't know if this is, you know, it's called originally from one leader called Cosimo de' Medici, which is a big family in Florence in Italy, and originally, again, they have established, or the main great big city or the big Medici Bank. Well, I mean, you can see here, it's they say it became the largest bank in Europe. It says here the bank was the largest in Europe during the 15th century, and it facilitated Medici's rise to political power in Florence. You know, I don't know. It's really, it's like a noble name, a noble fame, a noble house, a noble thing. If you, as I say, if you Google the name, you can find so many stories about, you know, Medici. So is he saying here we want to go back to, you know, to those great names? Loved the Medici, albeit he had never seen one. He would have sinned incessantly, could he have been one. You know, again, wishing and wishing and wishing and wishing of all these unbelievable things. But he is only here. At the end, the shock we will have is he was drinking. So he was, all this, he was drunk. My God. Minerva cursed the commonplace. So he was cursing everybody, the normal people, and eyed a khaki suit with loathing, you know, looking down on everybody, the working class people, you know, khaki, because workers mostly wear khakis. He missed the medieval grace of iron clothing. You know, he said, we want to go back to those great medieval times when people were dressed in lovely kind of grand, sort of amazing medieval looking, you know, grand, knightly looking clothing. Yeah. Minerva scorned the gold he thought, but sore annoyed was he without it. You see, He said, I don't like gold. He scorns gold. He scorns money. He scorns wealth, but he's crying for it. So notice the terrible contradiction, the terrible, you know, crazy thing. You know, he said, he scorned. When you scorn something, why do you run after it? Huh? You know, we go back again to the idea here. عيني فيه وتفو عليه. Is it عيني فيه وتفو عليه? Come on. Yeah. And here he said تفو عليه but عيني فيه. Exactly. Scorn the gold, but sore annoyed was he without it. Meaning he's mad to get it. But then he said, scorned. What a terrible man. Nineveh thought and thought and thought and thought about it. You see? Thought and thought and thought and thought and thought. How many thoughts? 5, 4. About what? Money. But he said, I scorn money. What a liar. Miniver Chivi, born too late, scratched his head and kept on thinking. Miniver coughed and called it fate and kept on drinking. حسبي الله عليك يا مينيفر. انت واحد خربان. والله خربان. Isn't it? Yeah. What do you think of our friend Miniver? Really, here there are a lot of stories you can find about Miniver. Really, let me see. I think I don't know. I put some questions somewhere. Let me find it out, and I will show you. I think. Yeah, where did I put this? Let me check. Let me check, boys and girls, because I think there's something interesting. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I say really, look at this. I say Miniver really is a poem, actually is about dreamers and dreams, right? And also about misfits who need to develop their social and vocational skills to cope with their own real world. You know, because really it seems that this man is drunk and he's scratching his head and he's drinking and he's, you know, moaning and moaning and moaning and nagging. So he's dreaming and dreaming and dreaming and, you know, so is he living in this terrible dream all the time? You know, so is he a misfit? Is he a dreamer or a misfit? Or someone who is really, you know, a crazy man who spent too much, right? You know, thinking about the past or thinking about what is not or what is not there instead of, you know, worrying about your present. Think about your now. Think about your situation, isn't it? Really here, it's an amazing, really, story that you can think about. That this man, yeah, is I think an amazing dreamer. It's good to dream. It's good to dream, but not to be mad about it, isn't it? To come to real world, you know, as it should be, not to be crazy. And here it seems that this man really is feeling that he is not he is not happy with anything he has. He is not, as you can say, I'm saying, like a misfit who does not fit in this society, who feels so crazy about rejecting everything, who is so full of contradictions, who is so unbelievably false, who is so double-faced, trouble-faced, who has so many contradictory, split personality, who is divided, mentally crazy, mentally divided, mentally split, who has no idea where he is, who has no orientation whatsoever. He wants this, but he can't have it. He, always, I don't know. I mean, there are people like that in real life. I think there are. Yeah, there are. I know many people say, yeah, well, yeah, I don't want this, I don't want this. Like when he said here, he scorns money, he scorns gold, but he's always running after gold. Thought and thought and thought and thought about it. Yeah, I think this is unbelievable sentence here, really line here, that yeah, people who are absolutely false and miserable and full of pretense, they pretend. It's only pretense. Pretense. People are not real, are not genuine. We have so many people like this, by the way. We have so many people. I know people like that. Myself, I know people like this. Nag, 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 nag all the time. Always nagging and nagging and nagging, and they do nothing. Nagging and do nothing, wasting their time on their mobiles and talking about people and gossiping, and nothing is happy, nothing for them is okay. They always complain and they do nothing. Like he's coughing, scratching their heads, and do nothing. Absolutely do nothing. They are negative people, negative power. They are ugly people. Yeah. Come on, get up and do something. Stop talking, stop gossiping, stop nagging. Be real. Yeah. Many of us, I want the past. Oh, I want. Oh, أجدادي كانوا كذا. Oh, أمتي كانت كذا. Oh, وأنت شو عم تعمل? And you, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What have you done in your life, to your people, to your family, to your country, to your home, to your village? What have you done? أجدادي كانوا. Yeah. عيني أجدادك. Yeah. Right? Minerva is this. Get up and do something. Yes. Really, this is an amazing poem. As I said, you can look at this. As I said, you can find so many, really a lot of commentary on this poem everywhere on the net. Please do that, because it's really a lovely thing to think about. Now, the next poem, I think we still have. I still have some time. I will give you another poem by Robert Frost. And I think here as well, I gave this poem to my students. Mending Wall. Anybody read this before? Hello, boys, girls. Hello? Anybody read it before? Yeah. Really, it's any question before if any question? I don't know, somebody maybe, no? Yeah. Again, this poem, as you can see, I think I gave you a little, oh, Mike, yeah. I gave you a good analysis of the poem. I think you can read it, you can read the analysis, and I think the analysis is very good, and it's enough for you to read and to understand. But yeah, Robert Frost, again here as an American, as you can see, 20th century American, again, poet, who is really giving us a very good poem here indeed. Again, there is a narrative here, a speaker and his neighbor, Mending Wall. Mending Wall, really it's a story about two neighbors. They have a wall between their homes and their gardens. And this wall is this wall is getting destroyed every time. Every year is getting destroyed. And in springtime, the neighbor, he and his neighbor, or the speaker and his neighbor, they argue about fixing the wall and to mend this wall. And every year, you know, the speaker says, why do you need to build this wall again? Why do you need a wall? And the neighbor said, no, let's go back and build this wall up again, because a good wall is needed between us. He said, because he said, my father said, you know, he always, you know, repeats what his father said. You know, he said, good fences make good neighbors. I think he, yeah, where is it? Let me see. Is it good fences, or what did this here say? Well, at the end, I think, yeah, he said, yeah, good fences, yeah. He said, good fences make good neighbors. Notice, so here the story really is quite simple, really simple here. That the speaker of this poem, the speaker, the neighbor, or because here we have two neighbors, I'm saying, the two neighbors, the speaker and his neighbor. The speaker is saying, I don't like this wall. Why do we need this wall? And the other neighbor said, no, we need it. And here, of course, the speaker here, all this poem is telling us his story and his neighbor's story with this wall, right? So here really he's explaining that in a nice way. Something there is that does not love a wall, that sends the frozen ground swell under it, that spills the upper boulders in the sun, and makes gaps even two can't pass abreast. The works of hunters is nothing, is another thing. I've come after them and made repair, where they have left not one stone on a stone, but they would have the rabbit out of hiding, to please the yelping dogs, the gaps, I mean. No one has seen them made or heard them made, but at spring mending time we find them there. I let my neighbor know beyond the hill, and on our day we meet to walk the line and set the wall between us once again. We keep the wall between us as we go, to each the boulders that have fallen to each. And some are loaves, and some so nearly bowls. We have to use a spell to make them balance. Stay where you are until our backs are turned. We wear our fingers rough. with handling them, or just another kind of outdoor game. One on a side, it comes so to little more. There where it is, we do not need the wall. He is pine and I am apple orchard. My apple trees will never get across and eat the cones under his pines, I tell him. He only says good fences make good neighbors. Spring is the mischief in me, and I wonder if I could put a notion into his head. Why do they make good neighbors, isn't it? Isn't it where there are cows? But here there are no cows. Before I built a wall, I would ask to know what I was walling in or walling out, and to whom I was like to give offense. Something there is that does not love a wall, that won't sit down. I could say elves to him, but it's not elves exactly. And I'd rather he said it for himself. I see him there, bringing a stone gasped firmly by the top, in each hand like an old stone, savage armed. He moves in darkness, as it seems to me, not of woods only and the shade of trees. He will not go behind his father's saying, and he likes having thought of it so well. And he says again, good fences make good neighbors. Well, as you can see, 45 lines, no rhyme, no rhyme. You can see no rhyme here, but there's a story here. Really, it's a lovely poem in a way because of the story. You know, you see here, why do we need walls? Do we need walls? Yeah, sometimes you say, yeah. I think walls are really needed sometimes. Really, they are needed. They are useful. They are useful because I know people without walls. People, if they don't have walls around their houses or lands or properties or whatever, they will have arguments with their neighbors. In fact, many people quarreled and fought and even killed each other because of the borderings, because of the borders to their lands. And this is real. It's not fiction. It's not poetry. It is real. I know people who got killed because of the argument about their borders of their land, you know. Yeah. And really, this is the idea. He said, we need this wall. This wall is good because he said, a good wall will make good neighbors. If there is no wall, then the neighbor will be ugly. Yeah? Yes, I think I agree with this. Really, I agree with this. Because sometimes, you know, walling in and walling out, he said, it's privacy, isn't it? It's privacy. You protect yourself, your family, your home, your kids, your land, your property, your farm, your whatever, by not allowing animals or any predators to come into your land. You protect yourself, you keep yourself, you wall out danger. You wall out danger and you wall in your own property and your own people. You keep safe your own people by walling in. Yeah, we can say, yeah, well, there's no danger. When there is no danger, why do you need the wall? But maybe today there's no danger, maybe tomorrow there will be. Maybe. So I think, you know, to open things up like that, no walls at all, we will be living in a forest. It will be like living in the forest or in a wood. And living in a wood, then you will be, yeah, of course, you'll be very open and free and so on and so forth. but there will be no law, and sometimes people can get crazy and can get ugly, and so on. Really, this poem has a lot of meanings as well. So please read it and read my comments here. I think they are useful for you. I'm not going to read it for you now because I think it's very clear. I'm not going to do that. Next time I will give you Gibran Khalil Gibran, and that's the last thing. Next time, next Sunday, it will be our last lecture. It will be our last live session next Sunday. I'll give you Gibran, and then if you have any question, and then of course, as usual, I will talk about the exam, and if you have any questions and things like that, no problem. Now, for your exam, the last test, I'm not finished yet with that. I'm still marking, really. I'm still marking your papers. I will finish, inshallah, I could finish tonight or tomorrow. I will send you that thing. I will send you that tomorrow, okay?
Okay, doctor.
So, yeah, I will stop sharing and stop recording.